This Kluger really needs no introduction in Australia. It's big, it's comfy, it's efficient, it's a Toyota, and it's very popular. But this you maybe haven't seen around before. This is the next generation Hyundai Palisade. Now, this sits above the Santa Fe in terms of price and size and features, and well, it's got a very imposing look. But the big question is, can it take on Australia's most popular 7-seat SUV? In this comparison, I'm putting these two SUVs head to head, the new versus the popular. And we're going to run through the interiors, the driving experience, and what you can expect as an owner. Let's get into it. The Kluger that we have here is top-spec Grande, which is priced from $85,135 plus on-road costs. This gets Toyota's 2.5-litre hybrid powertrain, which delivers a combined output of 242 kilowatts via a CVT automatic transmission to all four wheels. There's no combined torque output quoted by Toyota. Claimed fuel economy in this case is 5.6 litres per 100 kilometres, with 95 RON premium unleaded fuel being required. In terms of dimensions, this Toyota Kluger is just under 5 meters long at 4,966 millimeters. It's 1,755 mils high and 1,930 mils wide. There's room for 7 on board this vehicle, and the Kluger Grande is most notably picked on the outside by those chrome-laden 20-inch wheels. The Hyundai Palisade comes to Australia, initially at least, in one trim only, and it is top-spec calligraphy. Pricing for this car is $89,900 plus on-road costs. So it's more expensive than the Toyota Kluger, but it is also a larger vehicle. We've got 5,060 mils of length here, along with 1,805 mils of height. 1,980 mils of width means this Hyundai is bigger than the Toyota in every direction. The wheels are bigger also at 21 inches. Under the bonnet of the Palisade is Hyundai's new hybrid petrol powertrain, which comprises of a 2.5-litre turbocharged petrol engine and a 6-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission. There are 2 electric motors wedged in between these two. Combined outputs are 245 kilowatts and 460 newton meters going to all four wheels, which means this new Palisade is better for power and torque than the previous generation, but also better for the Kluger in terms of power. Claimed fuel economy for the Palisade is 6.8 litres per 100 Ks, which means it cannot match the Kluger outright for economy, both on paper and in the real world. So Grande is, of course, all you can eat in terms of Toyota Kluger. So let's talk about how much stuff you get for your money. Standard kit for this Toyota Kluger Grande includes twin 12.3-inch screens, a head-up display, wireless charging, interior ambient lighting, a 360-degree camera system, second-row sunshades, and an 11-speaker JBL sound system. Front seats are heated and ventilated with memory and electric adjustment and what Toyota calls a premium interior trimming. Second and third rows are manual here without any fancy tricks. Now, the interior of the Kluger, I think it is starting to show its age a little bit. This car has been around for a long time, but it does play well in terms of practicality. I really love the shelves that we have here. We've got one in front of the passenger here. It's nice and rubbery as well. That's cool. And we've got one here under the infotainment display. There's also a little hatch there to run your cables through, which is a nice touch because you've got your USB-C, USB-A, 12-volt power. Now, there isn't any wireless charging there, but it's actually hiding in this center console. I like the way this opens too. It kind of slides back, and that's your charging console there, which is a funny way of doing things. I mean, it's got it, I suppose, but that means if you actually want to get in to this center console to get your stuff out, you have to flip that out of your way. And if your phone's on it, then that's probably going to topple out as well. So probably not perfect, but this is a really big storage space otherwise, so you can fit a lot of stuff in there. Perfect for families. You've got 2 cup holders there, all the usual stuff, and this is a comfortable car to sit in and drive. The seats are good, you've got nice adjustment here. Now, you don't have electric steering column like you do on the Palisade, but there's plenty of adjustment in terms of getting comfortable behind the wheel. And also another thing to talk about here is the amount of physical controls that you have in this Kluger. So we've got a big infotainment display. We've got Toyota's relatively recent infotainment system here. It does work well. We've got a control panel down the side here that stays there all the time, even if you're on smartphone mirroring. And that does work well just in terms of navigating through some of the basic functions that you might want. There's a physical volume control there, and then all of your climate controls under here. Some may say it looks a bit old-fashioned, a bit old hat, but I'll tell you, it's easy to use. You can adjust your fan speed up and down, climate controls. It just works. This might not be the latest and greatest in terms of looks, but it does play well in terms of practicality overall. Now here's the second row of the Toyota Kluger. First things first, this is my driving position up front there. I'm around 1.8 meters tall, and as you can see, I've got plenty of legroom on offer. As you would expect, this is a nice and spacious second row in the back of the Kluger. I do have slide and tilt adjustment as well, of course, so I can bring this seat a long way forward actually. I've got good adjustment there on offer, and I can tilt the backrest a little bit too for a bit of extra comfort, so that's all pretty good. Now I've got air conditioning controls here. The air vents are up in the roof. That is nice. There's USB-C power, and I'll tell you what, this is fine. It works well. I've got things like a sunshade there, but I think just the fit and finish of this car is a step behind what you get in the Palisade in terms of the materials and the design. There's also a little bit of extra width I can feel in the Palisade in comparison to this Kluger. If I slide myself into the middle here, that feels like a bit of a narrower seat here in terms of fitting 3 adults in, or if you're going to fit 3 big wide baby seats into the back here, this isn't too bad. I've also got a little bit of headroom here in terms of what I've got on offer, because we do have a big sunroof here as well, of course. So someone who's a little bit taller might run into issues from that point of view. And I've also noticed here that I've got a little bit less glass on offer in terms of visibility out through the sides and the front, because this car is not as big or as boxy as what you get in the Hyundai. So one little observation there in terms of spending time in the second row. But after that, let's hop into the third row and see what it's like. So here's the third row of the Toyota Kluger, and as you can see, it's a little bit tight for an adult in the third row. So this second row seat is set up for a 2 meter tall adult to be reasonably comfortable, so the seat is slid forward a little bit. Might be hard for you to see here, but I haven't got a huge amount of legroom on offer, and my knees are up high because the seat floor is relatively high compared to the base of the seat as well. So it doesn't feel as naturally comfortable for an adult to sit in the back here. For kids, it would be okay though, I think. We've only got room for 2 in the back here. We don't have any ISOFIX points. We don't have any top tether points. So child seats do have to go into the second row of this car. Now we do have cup holders here, 2 on each side. That is good. We don't have any power outlets. We don't have the cool electric adjustment and that sort of thing. And the windows are a little bit smaller. So visibility isn't as good looking forward because we are sitting down a little bit low, I feel, and the side windows aren't as big. So it's fine, it's good, it does work, I've got to say, but in comparison to the Hyundai Palisade, this third row does feel like not as good overall, to be honest. Now here is the Toyota Kluger Boot when you've got 3 rows set up, and you might expect it to be really small on space, but it's actually not too bad. We've got a bit of length here and a bit of width. You could throw all your school bags in here, a big load of groceries and that sort of thing. I think it works well enough in 7-seat mode. Now there is a little bit of space under here for a few bits and bobs, maybe some spare nappies or something like that, but I do love to see a spot for that luggage blind to live full time. That's a really good thing. Now there's no power outlets here. We do have a light though, and there is a couple of tie down points and some hooks as well if you want to hang some bags off there. But once you pop down this third row, obviously boot space gets much bigger, and you've got a whole load of room here. You will need to move that second row seat back to stop things from falling down into the back there, but this is a good amount of space. Now let me show you what it looks like with a pram in the back. Trusty family pram. I'll slide that into the back of the Kluger here. That takes up almost all of the space in terms of length. I'll tell you, surprise, surprise, because the Palisade is a larger vehicle overall, you do have more load length. But at the same time, this is a really big boot in 5-seat mode, so you maybe won't notice it so much. You're gonna have enough room in here absolutely for those big holidays away. So you are spending a bit more money with this Hyundai Palisade, but compared to the Kluger, you do get a really impressive set of standard equipment. Let's start with the seats in this Palisade first, because you've got heating, ventilation and electric adjustment here, just like you do in the Toyota Kluger, but the Palisade manages to go 1, 2 and 3 better. Firstly, front seats have more electric adjustment available overall. Second row outboard seats are heated and ventilated here, and even the third row is actually heated, as well as being adjustable electrically via slide and tilt functions, as well as being fully deployed or slid away. This is all very fancy stuff. Other specs here include twin 12.3-inch displays, dual sunroofs, a digital center mirror, head-up display, fingerprint recognition, and even the ability to turn your smartphone into a car key. There's Napa leather appointments in the interior trimming, suede for the roof lining, and second row sunshades. Buyers can also opt for a 7-seat layout, which converts the second row into a captain's chair arrangement. You lose 1 seat there overall, but you do gain a bit of interior space, and that costs you $1,000. But we've got the 8-seat model here. Now, aside from all of that equipment, the look and feel in this Palisade is quite nice. I like the design, it's very swoopy, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on here. Part of me thinks maybe this could have been a handy, useful shelf or something like that from the family point of view, but you do have a shelf lower down here. The glove box is relatively small, but you do have a lot of storage around this area, so you'd be throwing handbags and bigger things down in this space in front of this sort of partially floating console here. You got cup holders, you got wireless power, you got heaps of power outlets as well. Now this button here, UVC, so that is a ultraviolet light cleaning function. It actually operates inside this center console. It's not too bad of a size actually, but there are some lights in there. You can throw your phone in, close it, press that button, and it will actually clean bacteria off your phone while you're driving around. It's actually a pretty cool feature. Not sure 100% how well it works, but hey, it's there. Now otherwise, we've got good infotainment here. It's a nice curved display that includes a digital cluster in front of you there, and we do have physical controls as well. So your climate controls are a little bit further down here. Some of those are not fully physical buttons, so you have to look while you're driving to find out where your fan speed is, for example. It's not too bad though. I think it's good. It doesn't run through the infotainment, and that is an important element. Also, you've got physical volume controls, other things here like tuning, adjusting your track. It does work really well from that point of view. And the infotainment system, typical Hyundai, it's good, and it's got absolutely bucket loads of features in there. So you've got the technology, you've got the practicality and the seating comfort, the amount of features in the seats, obviously, heating, massage, ventilation, you've got all the party tricks in there. But in terms of ergonomics, this is a really, really comfortable vehicle to drive. So I've got to say, this new Palisade, it doesn't really put a foot wrong up front. Now here is where the space and size of the Palisade really comes into its own, the second row. Now, check out the amount of legroom I've got here on offer to start with. That's my driving position up front. I'm around 1.8 meters tall. Maybe I sit a little bit close to the steering wheel compared to others, but check that out. I've got absolutely bucket loads of legroom on offer. I can fit my feet under that seat in front there. I'm very, very comfortable in this seat. And it also comes to just the squareness of the body of this car and the amount of glass you have as well. I've got good visibility. There's nice airiness in here. There's a sunroof above me here. This one doesn't open, but the one up front does. There's lots of light coming in. I've got air conditioning controls up here in the roof. I've got air vents as well, but still headroom is good also. So this car does really deliver from that point of view of just offering a lot of space for people in the back. And it's an important thing because we've got a third row, which we'll get to in a minute. I can slide this seat forward, which is really good. I can actually slide it forward a really long way. So there's plenty of adjustability there. That comes in handy for family usage. In terms of width, I could pop myself into this second seat here in the middle, and it's actually not too bad. It's a little bit of a dicky seat perhaps, but this is a really large and wide vehicle at the end of the day. So this does work well. Storage shelf here in front. I've got USB-C power. I've got room for a couple of things here in this hardback seat. Now, that's probably not as luxurious as a full leather seat perhaps you might see in other vehicles, but I'll tell you what, that is more durable for family usage because your kids are going to be kicking the absolute Christ out of the back of this seat. I've got cup holders here in the doors as well. I've got a pop-down armrest. I've got sunshades. Honestly, this is a really, really good second row, not just because of the space, but because of the amount of stuff that you get. Now, before I jump into the third row of this Palisade, I just want to show you this second row arrangement in terms of getting into the third row. So we do have a 60-40 split here. I've got this one folded down at the moment just so you can see what's going on. But because this is more of an American market car, we've got the 40 side actually on the wrong side for the Aussie market. So it's behind the driver, which means it's not on the curb side. Now, it does have a cool function here though. If you've got a child seat fitted here, you can still get into the third row with one press of a button. Press that, slides forward and out of the way. That's pretty good, and you can get into the third row reasonably well also. Now, let me just get dialed in here because I want to show you how much space we've actually got in this third row. Now, I'm in the third row of this Palisade now, and I've set up this second row here because we've got all of that sliding ability. I've brought it forward a little bit, but I sat in there and I've still got heaps of leftover legroom on offer. And as you can see here, I've actually got my legs not into the seat back in front of me here, so that is good. But it gets better because we've got electric adjustment of this third row. So check it out. I can slide this seat back even further if you don't need to have as much room for things in the back, obviously, and you can do electric tilt as well. So you can get super comfortable in the third row of this Palisade. I've got a fist of legroom there on offer in the third row. That is practically unheard of in most three-row SUVs, to be honest with you. I've got heating, I've got cup holders here, 2 cup holders on each side actually. I've got USB power, and I've got good visibility as well. So this car, that squared off shape, the big glass, just gives me vision forward, vision out the side. This doesn't feel like an afterthought in the back. You don't feel like you're in the cheap seats necessarily as much as other vehicles. This does work really well if you need a proper third row to fit 7 or even 8 people, because we've got 3 seat belts in the back here. That would be a real squeeze, to be honest with you, but you could do it if you had to. Plus, you've got ISOFIX and top tether points in the third row of this car. That is something that the Kluger does not have, but that means you can put baby seats into the back here and have your second row a bit more open and usable as well. So good practicality, good versatility, good comfort, lots of features. I mean, you're spending a lot of money for this Palisade, don't forget, but it really delivers, I think, in terms of giving you a lot of car that is really usable for a family. Now here's the boot of the Palisade in full 3-row action, and you've actually got a decent amount of space here. It's definitely big enough, I think, for things like 4 or 5 school bags, a bit of groceries and that sort of thing. You've also got a 240 volt power outlet here. You've got 12 volt power, but you do have some more tricks. Firstly, one thing that maybe isn't perfect with this Palisade is the fact that you don't have a spot for the luggage blind. So when you're in 3-row mode, you'll have to take that luggage blind out, stick it in the garage somewhere like that. But you've got your tire change equipment here. You've got a full-size spare slung underneath. It's always a good thing to see. But let me show you how much space you've got as a 5-seater, because it is pretty good. Now, electric seat adjustment means you just press the button and that third row goes down all by itself. I've got the trusty family pram here. Now, as you can see, that slides a long way forward there, and I've got heaps of space still left over here. This is a massive boot, to be honest with you. As a 5-seater, you will never really need anything more than what you've got here, I think. Really, really big. This Toyota Kluger really does nail the brief of being a comfortable and easy to drive vehicle. In many ways, it feels like most other Toyota hybrids to drive. It's a little bit bigger, of course, but it doesn't feel like a big car. You've got excellent ride comfort. This is nice and soft and cushy over bumps, but not overly cushy at the same time. So there is a good amount of control available when you're going through corners and that sort of thing. And steering is nice and light as well. And that adds to the nimble feeling of this car overall. Now, most people will know about Toyota Hybrid. They've been doing it for a long time and they've been doing an excellent job of it. And it's not too different in this case, really. We've got a 2.5 litre petrol engine, we've got a CVT transmission, and a system that really does blend electric and petrol power quite nicely. Now, when you do thrash this thing a little bit harder, you're accelerating, it does drone a little bit through the engine, to be honest with you. It doesn't roll through the gears like the Palisade does, which is a bit different. And it's also perhaps slightly noisier than the Palisade overall as well, but it is the more efficient option of the two. So we're averaging around 7 litres per 100 Ks in our test driving, which, to be honest with you, for a car of this size is quite impressive. Visibility is good overall, and all of the driver assistance features are well tuned as well, so it doesn't get in the way of your driving experience with beeps and bongs and interruptions and that sort of thing. So overall, this Kluger, it really does nail the brief quite smartly in terms of being a big family car that's easy to live with. The Hyundai Palisade is a big car, and it does feel it a little bit behind the wheel, especially in comparison to the Kluger. This feels its size a little bit more, especially through the steering actually. This has a heavier steering feel to it. And also the ride quality is a bit less nimble, I suppose. It's less absorptive than the Kluger, but control is pretty good. This is just perhaps a little bit more tied down, and over rough surfaces and bumps, it's just a little bit less comfortable than the Toyota. This powertrain is good, however. It's got a 6-speed automatic transmission, which is different to the CVT in the Kluger. So this does run up the revs and through the gears, a little bit more like a regular petrol car. Now you do get a lot of engine off time as you're cruising, as you're coasting, and that initial bit of acceleration is all electric. And then the petrol engine kicks in, and it is quite seamless between the two. So you do get a really nice, smooth and refined driving experience in this Palisade. The only thing I can say about it is that perhaps the brake pedal feel isn't as good as the Kluger. You do get a little transition there as you go from regenerative brakes into the friction braking, but it is a very minimal difference between the two. Now, in terms of efficiency, this is still a very efficient petrol-powered large SUV. You're looking at maybe up to 8 litres per 100 Ks. You're going to be using around 1 litre per 100 more than the Kluger. So the Toyota is more efficient, but I tend to cut this a little bit of slack because it is a larger and more squared off vehicle overall. So it is going to tend to use more fuel in the day-to-day driving, but still 8 litres per 100 for a car of this size is pretty impressive. But it is a very refined driving experience overall in this Palisade. It's nice and quiet, perhaps not as comfortable as the Kluger, but very impressive overall. So even though you are spending big dollars for this Hyundai, it does deliver in terms of offering a good quality drive. So all in all, this Hyundai Palisade does really deliver in offering a refined and really nicely dialed driving experience. You are spending a lot of money for this car at the end of the day, but in comparison, I think it does deliver in terms of the quality on offer. Well, the Palisade certainly brings a lot of size and specification into this comparison, and it does leave the Kluger feeling a little bit outgunned. But that's not to say that this is a bad SUV. Far from it. It is still an excellent choice for a lot of people. It's got the best ride quality out of these two, and it's got the more efficient powertrain. That's all really good stuff, but it does feel a little bit expensive in this Grande trim. I would be looking down towards GX or probably GXL as being a bit more of a sweet spot for the Kluger overall. But this Palisade, in comparison, yes, it costs a few $1,000s more, but it brings a whole lot more into the equation. The third row is bigger and better equipped. It can take baby seats. It's got heating and venting everywhere, and a really nice interior overall. This 2.5 litre turbo hybrid of the Palisade, no, it's not as efficient as the Kluger, but it's nice and refined and still very good in that regard. So even though it costs a few $1,000s more, it feels like it's money well spent. This is a really impressive car, full of tech, full of specification, but well set up for family usage. Now, if these two big SUVs are stretching the budget for you a little bit, check out this video up here, because this is the Hyundai Santa Fe. It's a 7-seater, it's hybrid, and it's very, very good.